Sections 2, 3, and 4 of the 14th Amendment are not nearly as exciting as Section 1, but each are important in their own way. Section 2 amends the Constitution's infamous 3/5 clause. Under the original 1787 language of the Constitution, enslaved people were counted as 3/5 of a person for purposes of representation. In other words, when the census was taken of all the people living in the state and the numbers were tallied to determine how many representatives that state received in Congress based on that tally, enslaved people did not count as one whole person, but as 3/5 of a person. Section 2 of the 14th Amendment corrects this, counting the formerly enslaved, now freed, as whole persons for representation. Thus, and one of the great ironies of American history, the South lost the Civil War but gained power in Congress as the formerly enslaved now counted as whole individuals, not 3/5 of an individual. Section 3 continues the focus on representation. Here, any person who has taken an oath to support the Constitution and then engaged in rebellion or insurrection against that Constitution shall not be allowed to hold office in the United States. In 1868, this clearly meant that if you were an officer in the U.S. military, an officer of the federal or state governments, or even an elected official at the federal or state level, and you took part in the Confederacy, the rebellion against the United States, then you could not be you could not serve in the U.S. government. Obviously, barring insurrectionists from serving in the very government they sought to overthrow seems like good general policy. As a result, Section 3 is not specifically limited to the Confederacy, but is an open-ended ban on insurrectionists. However, Section 3 provides no enforcement mechanism. Thus, it is an open question today of who is responsible for enforcing this ban and how that would be done. Section 4 deals with debt from the insurrection. Any debt the U.S. government accrued suppressing the insurrection is considered valid and payable by the United States government. But any debt incurred by states or individuals in support of that rebellion are illegal and void. They cannot be repaid. Thus, no claims for the loss or emancipation of the enslaved as a result of the war would be honored. Whatever money enslavers had invested in their enslaved property was lost forever. And finally, Section 5 authorized Congress to enforce this amendment by any appropriate legislation, meaning it could pass more laws to strengthen these principles. While this seems like a throwaway statement, it is actually critically important. Both the 13th and 14th Amendments contain this clause, as will every subsequent amendment, which was a new development in the history of constitutional amendments. This clause is important because it expands the federal government's power to protect the rights of citizens. The Bill of Rights limited the power of the federal government. This enforcement clause is the exact opposite. It expands the power of the federal government. Instead of the federal government being the aggressor that would destroy rights, now the federal government was being entrusted to protect rights, setting up a dynamic tension about the role of the federal government that exists to this very day.